Hey everyone, it's Andrew from the Coaster101 podcast, and I want to talk to you about our podcast sponsor, Zencastr. Since we created the Coaster101 podcast all the way back in 2020, we've utilized Zencastr for most of our recordings, mainly because the Coaster101 team is so spread out, it makes it so easy for us to record a high quality, at least in audio, that is, podcast. We're able to record studio quality sound, and if we were ever to go with video, we could record in 4K. With Zencastr, our audio is always backed up, even if our connection is a little unstable. Zencastr is an all-in-one podcast platform that's perfect for any podcast, hobbyists like us included. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute it to Spotify, Apple, and anywhere else you can get your podcast. Don't believe me? Try it yourself. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use code Coaster101 and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and contact needs, and it's time for you to share your story. That's zencastr.com/pricing and enter code Coaster101 for 30% off your first month. Thanks to Zencastr for making our recording process so easy, and here's this week's episode. Your eyes and ears are not deceiving you. We are back in your podcast feed for the first time since Labor Day weekend. Welcome back to the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and I am joined by Shane Joseph down in Orlando. Shane, I'm going to welcome you back, but I'm going to welcome myself back too. It seems kind of egotistical to do, but you plan a wedding, you just move into a house, you have, you do all these things.
There's a lot going on.
It was a very busy fall for me. I am a married man now, which is good.
Congratulations.
I'm a homeowner. I no longer have a kidney stone. And life is
also a plus.
It's been a very busy couple of weeks. I'm sorry to anybody who's like, hey, where's the Coaster101 podcast? I'm sure there are like half dozens of you.
We're back now, so they'll be happy.
Yes. We were talking a little bit before we started recording. Your comment was we didn't really miss anything big during our little hiatus from Labor Day to Thanksgiving. And I kindly reminded you.
Remembered, the biggest theme park news in like the past 5-10 years.
Yeah,
so
something like that.
We did miss that little merger, but yeah.
We're going to talk about that on another episode. We're going to, it's kind of, I feel like it'll be evergreen enough because we still don't really know what's going to happen between Six Flags and Cedar Fair. But, I felt that there was no better way to bring back the Coaster101 podcast than by recapping the biggest goings on in the amusement and theme park industry from last week, because you were down, you're down there pretty permanently now, I guess.
It's crazy to think,
it's
true.
You were at the Orlando or Orange County Convention Center for the IAAPA Expo. So we're going to talk a lot of things IAAPA. We're going to recap everything Shane saw. We're going to, I'm going to figure out, because I haven't been down to IAAPA since 2019. So it's been a minute for me.
Next year you should come.
That's the goal. We'll see what happens if we can get back on the press list and if they continue to like us or anything. But
I sure hope so.
Yeah, let's dig right in though. That first day of IAAPA, I feel like it is overwhelming in the best way possible. You walk in, you're greeted with this level of sensory overload that could, just really wreck a lot of people. But then with that, there's this press schedule. That first day is train reveal after train reveal after train reveal after news after train reveal, and you have like 5 minutes to hustle between booths. Maybe
this year, I don't know what was different this year, but this year seemed way crazier than the past 2 years I've been.
Yeah, it was a big year. Obviously, I think we're close. I don't know if we're fully over the hump, like back on level ground, like 2019, smooth sailing, things like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like we're very close to that kind of post-COVID boom. in the industry. And
Yes.
obviously there's a lot going on in the industry. There's some big name attractions coming both to the United States and worldwide in 2024. And arguably the biggest, certainly by height. Well, there's two of them, but we'll go with the biggest in the United States to start. Um,
Okay.
the good folks at Zamperla were joined by our buddy Tony Clark from Cedar Point, and we got to see the lead car for Top Thrill 2, which utilizes Zamperla's Lightning design. This is a multi-launch coaster, world's tallest multi-launch, fastest multi-launch. It's got 3 launches, including a backwards launch at 101 miles an hour, which is going to be absurd.
Yes.
Shane, when you saw this train, when they pulled the sheet off the Top Thrill 2 lead car, what was immediately going through your head? Like, what were your first impressions of that train?
Well, first of all, I love the color. It's this like really nice blue. It's not really sparkly, but it's shiny. It's like so appealing. Like the colors are perfect because it's blue, red, and then the seats are black. It's so sleek looking, and the restraints are so open. It is almost like Velocicoaster type, where it goes over, but it's not an over the shoulder.
Right.
And then you just have the piece that'll be sitting on the lap, which is going to be so cool, sitting in this very open train, looking down that 420-foot spike, going straight down to go up the top at. So that's really what I was imagining. This train is just going to look so good when it's going through that track.
Yeah. I remember I've been to Cedar Point twice, and neither time I was not able to get on Top Thrill Dragster either time. I think Cedar Point, has a reputation in the enthusiast community, maybe just because we're fat, that Cedar Point has short belts. But,
Yeah.
I was never able to ride. So I'm really hoping these new restraints and these new trains from Zamperla are kind of, within reason. I hope they're larger, rider friendly, obviously, while
Right.
maintaining
I
safety.
did. I did ask. There will be no seat belts.
Really?
Yes, no seat
Okay.
belts on this train.
That was the one thing people were asking. Like, I saw this all over
Yes.
social media during IAAPA, was like, oh, there's not seatbelts, and everyone's like, there's gonna be seatbelts. And so it's
Right.
one of those
When I
things.
asked, they said this is how the trains will be placed on the track.
Wow. I'm obsessed. And these
Yeah.
wheels, the wheels
The
are
wheels are
enormous.
huge. Yeah. I have a picture. I'll post a picture of my hand next to the wheel.
Hand
They're
for
so
scale. Here
big.
for it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's the holes in them to reduce the heat,
Yep.
because this thing's going to be going really fast, and it's going to be doing it a lot on hot days in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So they really put so much thought into just making sure that this thing runs as efficiently as possible.
Right. And I know, I think it was 2019 when I was there, they kind of unveiled the prototype Lightning train, or maybe that was 2021
I
or
think it was
2020.
last year.
Maybe it was. These things, they start to run together, and you
They
don't
blend
remember,
together, definitely.
but it's the weld-free train. I know, we've had
Yes.
Adam Sandy on the podcast a couple of times, and he talks about how that's, better for maintenance,
Right.
which, when there's less maintenance required on something, that's more money in the budget that can go towards other things. So just
Yes.
something to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Top Thrill 2 open at Cedar Point. It's the construction updates that are coming through on Twitter, I feel like on a daily basis, they're flying through this thing.
Yes.
So I
Yep.
think even before we get a really cold winter up in Ohio, I think this thing might have a complete track. I don't want to push anybody.
I mean, they said they're putting the spike up right now. I mean, you can see it's already well on its way.
Yeah. So very excited for Cedar Point and Zamperla. But
Yes.
on the subject of really, really big coasters that go really, really fast and are going to be in a really, really hot climate, Falcon's Flight at
Yes.
Six Flags Qiddiya.
Yes. Which now all of the signage is saying Six Flags Kidia City. So I'm not sure if they've had a rebranding, but that's what all the signs say.
Okay. Well, Falcon's Flight, we posted a little bit about this on coaster101.com. Kind of, we got some new details from Intamin. This thing is going to have I don't know if the exact phrasing was 640-foot drop, but there is going to be a 640-foot difference
Yeah,
between the
it's
lowest point and the
interesting
highest point.
because that's what they said is 640 feet, is what the height change is. Because essentially what that is when it goes over the cliff wall, it has like a traditional drop, and then certainly doesn't flatten out, but it sort of stays in one angle as it goes towards the bottom of the hill. So for all intents and purposes, it's a 640-foot drop.
Sure.
And then that massive, I think it's like 560-foot camelback.
Yeah,
Also, I mean, that would break the record by itself.
it's gonna have some serious airtime, and it's going to be,
Absolutely.
assuming this thing gets up and running and is maintained, and
Yes.
there's a lot of people online who I feel like are wanting the coaster in principle to fail. I'm taking all all thoughts of political and human rights, and I'm looking at it
Yeah.
strictly from a roller coaster perspective here.
Right.
And obviously
And that was the thing about this, is that in that moment, like, it became real. Like, it wasn't a thing that was, there's a POV online and maybe it's being built. That was the most exciting thing to me, is that even when the cover was still on the train, just being able to stand there and be like, wow, this is actually happening and this is actually being built. And also getting to sit inside the trains, super cool also.
yeah.
Similar restraint type to Top Thrill 2 also, where it's going to be no seatbelt, and that overhead lap bar essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
I love this recent trend we've seen in the industry of these overhead lap bars. I know you
yes.
mentioned Velocicoaster, Copperhead Strike at Carowinds has a similar
Yes,
restraint.
another great one.
So, Mock's doing it, Intamin's doing it. We're going to talk about B&M doing it here in a little bit. So
Yes.
this is a nice welcome. I feel like a welcome trend in the industry
Oh,
for
absolutely. And I
these
can't
restraints.
even imagine a 640-foot drop with that restraint. And it was pretty comfortable. Seats were comfortable. Um, the windshield is really cool. LEDs on the front and side of the trains.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool colors with that purple and gold. Especially because it was brought up. This was, I hadn't thought about this. The coaster is going to be running at night a lot, so
Mm-hmm.
that's going to look really great with the LED lights.
Yeah. So
Um, yeah,
like
I can't believe it's actually happening.
I know it. So it is crazy that after last year, I think it was announced, it was like, yeah, that's not happening. And then you
Right.
get there, you see the glowing eyes, that really sleek looking Falcon head
Yep.
train. So it's happening. And I mean, if you look at that rendering that Intamin put out with they call it the Exa coaster now.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, because
They had to make a new classification.
we just skip over whatever the 500-foot mark is, because
Yeah, because
Exa is,
we're above that now.
sure, somebody's got to come up with a 500-foot coaster, though.
Yeah, eventually it'll happen soon.
Sure.
But yeah, also a train with giant wheels that are designed to keep it cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That kind of had
uh,
the spoked wheels, right?
yeah, a little different. That they said they designed it to be almost like a fan,
Okay.
where it would just be spinning and cooling itself. Which again, yeah, you want to talk about hot climate running. However many launches, I think 7 or something.
Yeah, I think it was
Crazy.
three LSM sections and like 750 LSM magnet nodule things,
Yeah.
whatever they're called.
Right.
I'm not the engineer here. I'm the
No,
podcast
me
guy,
neither.
and I'm not even the
Yeah.
podcast guy. I haven't had the show for 3 months, but we're back, so it's
So we're
great.
back, and this too, constantly, like, this was the most crowded reveal. Definitely, I took a video of the crowd before. It's on the Instagram highlights. I mean, this was like the excitement of like before a rock concert or something, where it was just the by far the most crowded. And then throughout the event too, there was always people standing in front of this booth with this train.
Yeah,
Um, so I think this is going to draw some major attention when it opens.
it is. And obviously, you can't talk about this coaster without talking about the political climate. I think is going to be the best
Yeah,
way I can put this in Saudi Arabia. So I think there's a way to talk about the coaster without talking about the human rights questions and things like that. So, and I know
right.
they're trying as a country to do things better. I know they have, WWE shows over there now, and they let the women wrestle, and they have F1 races, and they're
Yeah.
trying to kind of, I don't want to say, I mean, the term in sports is like sports wash,
Hmm.
um, and it kind of distract, but it is just something to consider. But
Right. And there's
again,
a lot.
this,
I mean, definitely at IAAPA this year, I saw a lot of things and a lot of investments into Saudi Arabia. So I think this is going to be a new kind of hub for theme parks and attractions as the kind of tourism there is starting to ramp up as well.
yeah. I remember back in the day when when they originally announced this park, we got this email to the Coaster 101 inbox, and they were going to offer to fly us out there to cover
Is that
the.
true? Is that
Yeah,
do you
that
think
was.
they'll do you think we can still cash in on that?
You're going to have to talk to somebody on that one, Shane.
Okay.
It's above my pay grade at this point. But yeah, we got that email and it was like, are they serious about this? Like they
I
want to.
think we should. I mean, what like 3 years later, I think we should respond to the email and say, "Is this
This
still
was,
valid?"
yeah. We're gonna have to go dig through the archives and find that one. But
Yes,
I do want to move on a little bit, just because again we've got so much to talk
there's
about
a
about
lot.
I.
Yeah, no, we got a lot to cover.
But I did touch on it briefly. That B&M is kind of getting into the new restraint game, and they've got a prototype opening at SeaWorld Orlando. And SeaWorld Orlando, I feel like, is just popping out coasters left and right these days.
Oh
You know,
yeah, they're really doing great there.
but Penguin Trek, it's this family B&M, again another multi-launch type coaster. I love these trains. I
They're
remember
really cool.
I was texting you and I was like, that train is so sleek. And I know they're themed to kind of snowmobiles, just like
Yes,
the
the
trains on
Arctic
Dark Coaster,
Rescue.
Arctic
Oh,
Rescue
those
and Dark
two. Yeah,
Coaster are themed to snowmobiles, but these don't have kind of that straddle seat. Um,
right. It's more traditional
but
seating.
it's definitely a new look from B&M. Was that kind of the
Yeah,
buzz when you were around that announcement? Was it like, huh, this is definitely a new look for B&M?
yeah. I mean, the first kind of reaction was this does not look like a B&M train. It looks actually. You just mentioned it, kind of like Copperhead Strike in a way,
Mm-hmm.
where there's like low kind of not bucket seats, but lower seats with that overhead lap bar. Um, Especially because this is also going to be kind of a low to the ground, quick movement sort of family launch coaster. No inversions on this one, but um, there's going to be an indoor section that's probably going to have some pretty cool theming in there as well. Um, and I think it's different colored track too. I think it's black track on the inside and white track on the outside.
Yep, and they're
So I'm
starting to
also very
build it.
curious. Yeah, I'm curious to what this theming is going to be on the inside
it.
because we haven't seen B&M really do anything like this, where it's kind of the new generation of like storytelling coasters.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a little
So
bit of theming, obviously, on the tunnel on Incredible Hulk and the barn
yes,
on
oh
the
yeah,
barn
Thunderbird.
on Thunderbird. But yeah, for most of the B&Ms, there's not a lot of on ride theming, and I know they don't necessarily do the theming. The park will do that, or they'll hire a
Right,
third
right.
third party. Um, I you may know this better than I do. Is this replacing the Emperor of the Penguin trackless dark ride?
Yes, yeah, I think
Good,
the indoor section is going to be the space where that was.
good. That was
Uh,
that. You want to talk about a build up for not a lot of payoff. That
yeah, that I never rode that, but that seems to be the consensus, definitely. But also, I just realized this is the second themed train from B&M in a row going to SeaWorld Orlando. The first one with the surf coaster train, it looks like a surfboard, and then this one with the Penguin Trek train that looks like a snowmobile.
There we
So
go.
it's really interesting to see B&M, who have kind of been known as this company that does one thing really well. And now, since really, I think probably since Thunderbird, when they started doing the launched wing coasters, to see in that last 10 years or whatever it is, like they are really starting to innovate. So yeah, this is going to be really exciting. I can't wait to ride it.
Yes. And on the subject of innovation, we got to talk about a roller coaster company who I may or may not be on the payroll for because I just won their t-shirt design
Oh,
contest.
yes. Congratulations.
Thank you. So we're going to date this episode a little bit, but Rocky Mountain Construction just had a t-shirt design contest, and me being the amateur graphic designer, amateur podcaster, master of all or jack of all trades, master of none that I am.
Yeah.
I entered, I won. So the good folks at RMC liked our logo, but the feeling for RMC is mutual because along with our good buddies over at Silver Dollar City, RMC unveiled the train for their first ever indoor coaster and I believe their first ever what we're going to call a family coaster for them for Fire in the Hole. And
Yes.
this was an announcement that had some exciting elements to it. I think they had a bluegrass
Yes.
band, and
They did. And they played for a long time. I think they had like a 15-minute set. It was great.
they were good.
Yeah.
Casey and the Whalers or something like that.
Attaboys. Yeah.
Casey and the Attaboys. That's it. So, and I was watching the live stream, and Joey and Dalton and the team over there. I know they do a really good
Yes.
job. These trains, they look fantastic, and I think
They look
RMC in recent years, I'll speak specifically to Air Force One and Wildcats Revenge, especially this past year. Those trains look amazing, and
They really do.
and I know when we had Jake on, back Labor Day weekend, the last podcast episode, go back into the feed,
Yes.
3 months, one episode. We're going to do better, I promise. But Jake said that was the fiberglass on that train was for Wildcats Revenge is like this fiberglass company who's right down the road from them in Hayden, Idaho.
Yes.
Like, so it's crazy that there's all these like really kind of niche theme park companies in the little like
it's great. I really like
handle of Idaho. But
yeah.
Yeah, these pumper wagons, I think, is what Silver Dollar City is calling them.
Yes.
They're looking really good, and I know that the track work is done. They're working on a lot of the interior right now. It's kind of crazy to me that the spiritual successor to Fire in the Hole is all but ready to go. Could probably put a track on the coaster tomorrow, and it could be ready. When Fire in the Hole 1.0 is still going to operate through the end of December. So
it's really incredible.
It's kind of like playing the music at its own funeral. It's kind of interesting.
And they did say it'll be essentially a almost 1-to-1 track replacement. With obviously updated show scenes, and the trains have onboard audio. The speakers are below the seats, kind of in the front. But an interesting thing about these trains, like you said, RMC's first family coaster, there's no shin guards, and the lap bar is much thinner than the current coasters.
Good.
Yeah. Yes. So it looks like it's going to be really, really great.
Yeah, I'm excited. And RMC, in recent weeks and months has, they've unveiled this Wild Moose family coaster. They've got Fire in the Hole.
Too. They had a small model of a piece of a Wild Moose.
I saw a close-up picture of that. Like the Bullwinkle looking head on the front looked adorable.
Yeah, it's great. I can't wait for somebody to build one. Hopefully they sold one.
I was going to say, hopefully they sold one. Hopefully Zamperla sold some double hearts. All of these models that we've been talking about for years at this point, or, a year, sometimes a couple more than months than a year. Yeah. I'm hoping that the business was booming. Again, we're in this post-COVID.
So. It seemed
boom.
Like the show floor was pretty busy at every booth. So
good.
Yeah, I think it's safe to say next few years we're going to see some really exciting stuff.
But I mentioned the adorable Moosehead on the Wild Moose,
Yes.
we have to talk about the most adorable train reveal at IAAPA. Bobcat. No,
Yes.
it's not Bobcat. I'm kidding.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
no, I'm talking about Good Gravy, because
I mean, yeah.
that that train was perfect. And I think, they announced that coaster the same day that Top Thrill 2 got announced, and the enthusiast community was like, "Oh my gosh, Holiday World's coaster is adorable. This is the greatest thing ever." And
Yeah.
meanwhile, like several hours earlier, we had just gotten, "Hey, Zamperla's building this kick-ass world record breaking coaster."
Right.
And then the internet was like, "But gravy boat
But
trains."
gravy boats, yeah. Which, by the way, they handed out actual gravy boats right after the announcement.
Hey,
Um,
and
I did not
Thanksgiving's.
get one, but
Oh, I was gonna
Thanksgiving's
say
around. Yeah, I know. Look, this was a popular. Unveiling. Lots of people there. People in like Good Gravy merch also, which I didn't even know was out yet. Maybe they made their own. I'm not sure.
they had a
But
website.
oh, there you go. Yeah, this train is great. First of all, the designs on it are hand painted, which is great, and it looks like it too. Um, the fact that there is actual, sculpted gravy coming out of the front of it, and also the back of it has that handle for the gravy boat. I think this is just great, and that purplish kind of reddish purple track. This is just going to be a huge hit.
Yeah, and I think for kind of debuting this family boomerang model in the States, Good Gravy, along with the Snoopy themed coaster up at Kings Island, I think a lot of the shine is right now on Good Gravy, probably
Yeah.
deservedly. But it is really cool that we're getting two different versions of this new to the United States model. And
Yes,
there's a
and
lot of
a
hype.
big one, a great adventure.
Exactly. So, a little bit of a resurgence for Vekoma here, which is
Definitely.
awesome. And I'm like you, I love the handle on the back of the train. I think that's such
It's
a
great.
really, really like simple detail, but it's something I really appreciate. So I'm
Yeah.
really
I
glad
hope
that
when this opens, they have like little toys or models of the train, because that I think would sell.
Coaster Dynamics, you guys
Oh,
work with
yes.
you guys work with
Get on
Holiday
that.
World. Make it happen. Bring
Please,
back
please do.
the statics
Yeah.
displays. So not that we're here to help, parks merch departments, but Holiday World, if
Still,
you're listening, people will buy those gravy boat trains.
of
People will buy
course.
a single car replica as long as it's the rear car that has the handle and you put wheels on it.
Yeah,
Like, people will buy those things. We're coaster enthusiasts. We're
absolutely.
nerds. We buy this stuff. Just
Yes,
just do it.
it's true. Yeah, that would sell.
Yeah. And I want to talk one more thing, one more reveal. It wasn't a coaster train, but one attraction that I'm curiously excited for 2024 is the SpongeBob's Crazy Carnival ride at
Yes.
Circus Adventure Dome, and Sally Dark Rides was there, and they, as has become, I feel like, tradition at recent IAAPA expos. I know several years ago they unveiled this amazing Big Bird animatronic. A couple years ago they unveiled the kind of the shaman for the volcano attraction
Yes, that was
at
my
Lost
first
Island.
year.
And so, but they unveiled another amazing animatronic with this Mr. Krabs Carnival Barker animatronic
Yes.
that is going to live in a Las Vegas casino. And that is
Yes, it's
just,
great.
it is a wild sentence to me. And, you know, Shane, have you ever been to Vegas?
I have not.
Okay. You're finally old enough. You can go. Hey, podcast is back. I'm still making Shane's really young jokes, so that's good.
Yep, wouldn't be the same without it.
Um, I went to Circus a couple years ago.
I was going to say you were there pretty recently.
Yeah, I think it was spring of 22, and
Okay.
admittedly, I went and I paid way too much money for my wristband so I could go ride El Loco and Canyon Blaster and
Yeah.
walk around. And this is going to be just outside of kind of Circus proper. I've seen some construction photos. Um, Circus is an interesting place, and I'm really excited that the hotel ownership and management company is kind of putting some money into the Adventure Dome, because when I was there, it was I mean, granted, it was like the middle of the afternoon on like a Thursday, and I
Yeah,
was the only one there. They were barely checking wristbands, so I probably could have ridden those roller coasters without even buying a wristband at that point.
but we follow the rules here.
We do. We absolutely do. Don't don't forget that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is an interesting play for Circus Circus. Very excited to see, um, what they do. Sally, to me, you can't beat a good Sally Dark Ride.
Oh
Like,
yeah, and
I
this
mean,
animatronic, it's so like perfect looking. I mean, it's straight out of the show. This was another one where every time I walked by, there was a little crowd gathered around this animatronic. Kids especially loved it.
yeah,
The voice is great, the movement is great, the eye movement super impressive too. Uh, yeah, this was a big hit.
yeah. Sally again. Sally doesn't miss, and
No,
by having ridden Volcano at Lost Island, which is let me just remind everybody, a family owned theme park in
right,
Waterloo, Iowa. And they have
correct.
what is quite possibly the best dark ride I have ever been on. It's in
So
Iowa.
go to this park, support this park. I
Yes.
can't
So
wait to go.
go to Vegas, go to the Adventure Dome. Hopefully, you do
Yes.
other things in Vegas other than go to the Adventure Dome. I mean, Area 15 is kind of cool. New York
Yeah.
roller coaster is there.
Is it open?
It, yeah, the New York roller
Okay.
coaster is there. It exists.
All
Um,
right. Yeah.
take an Advil after riding it, but you'll
Sure.
be fine. Or Tylenol. We're not sponsored by any pain
Yeah.
medication here. So that covers a lot of the announcements. I mean, obviously there were some more announcements.
Yes.
Obvious
I was going to say
Bobcat.
Bobcat. Also, as someone who's been to Great Escape, and I love that park, I think it's so great that they're getting a new investment. And that coaster is literally perfect for what that park is about.
Yep.
So I
And
think that's going to be huge for that park.
the world needs more Gravity Group family wooden coasters. I've
Absolutely.
I've
Yep.
said it
There's one
since
near me in
Kentucky.
Connecticut.
Yep. I've said it since Kentucky Flyer opened, since Oscar's Wacky Taxi opened, since Roarosaurus opened. The world needs more of these. I've yet to ride
Yes.
one, but the world needs more of
Oh,
them.
okay. Yeah, they're great.
So, but that covers the announcements. I want to go back to Sally though, because there are some things that were on the show floor. They didn't have a press event associated with them, so you just kind of had to stumble over them. But I'm going to start going back to Sally with Shane. What you told me was, I think, your most anticipated or exciting thing you saw on the entire nine
Yes.
miles of aisles at the IAAPA Expo was this
Correct.
dark ride coaster. What can you tell us about that?
Well, for me, it is again, like you just said, I told you this was the most exciting thing on the entire show floor because it is a true storytelling roller coaster concept. There's so much that this thing can do. I mean, it's essentially anything you could possibly imagine this ride is doing. There are drop tracks, there are side slides, there are sideways drops. I mean, the thing essentially kind of valleys and then goes back over sideways. There is a bouncing version of a drop track. There is a outdoor tilt track as well that was on display. I mean, there were moving track pieces and rotating ride vehicles. This is basically a ride and roller coaster designer's dream concept, and a version of it already exists. I know there's one, I think at Movie Park. It's called the Studio Tour, but more recently, um, one that was more similar to this version, which is the Uncharted coaster at Port Aventura World, which I am dying to go on. I'm a huge fan of those games, and again, this concept just it completely blew me away, and I can't believe that more people are not talking about it.
Yeah, and I think it's Sally, and I think Intamin is involved too, right?
Yes,
From the
Intamin
coaster
is
side.
does the coaster part of it. Yeah,
Again, those are two companies right now. They rarely miss, like very,
no,
very rarely miss, especially in recent years. Like you look at
yeah,
Velocicoaster, Pantheon, um, what is it, Hyperion? I mean, there's
yes,
all sorts of coasters that Intamin has put out. The dark rides by Sally are fantastic. if you put two of the best in class together, they're going to create a world class
Absolutely.
experience.
I
So
mean, this is something that every person who's interested in themed entertainment, and this is essentially the next evolution of what is already incredible with Hagrid's at Islands of Adventure and Guardians of the Galaxy at Epcot. This is basically if you put both of those together and with even more unlimited possibilities.
I love it.
Yeah, I can't. I went over to one of their representatives at the booth with the intention of just getting more information about it, and just like I'm doing now, basically just raved to her about how excited I was that this exists, because it's everything I love, which is a thrilling coaster experience with a lot of moving elements, pretty much for the sole purpose of storytelling.
Sally Darkrides, if you happen to be listening to this, we'd love to have you on to talk about this, and
Please,
we'll have Shane on.
please do.
He'll gush about it all over again. It's going to be
I will.
great.
No, I'll come up with some real questions.
Okay, we'll give it time. Sally, call
Yes.
us. We'll make it
Yes.
happen. One other thing that didn't really have a press event that I feel like has been on the back burner of IAAPA and has been coming and coming and coming for years is the second ever Chance Rides Hyper GTX, which is
Yes.
opening in the Phoenix, Arizona metro area at the Mattel Adventure Park. That's Hot Wheels Twin Mill Racer. They had the lead car for this at the Chance Rides booth, and out of all the pictures you sent me, Shane, and we were posting on social media, this train to me, take away Top Thrill 2, take away Falcon's Flight. I think this train was the sleekest thing I saw on the show floor.
It's really nice looking. It is definitely eye catching. And this was also one of the first times at IAAPA where there's been like a dedicated Mattel Adventure Park area of this booth. They just released more information this week as well. There's going to be like a Barbie section, which is great, perfectly timed with the movie. And then there's going to be this whole Hot Wheels area. They had one of the other coasters car, I think last year.
Bone
The
Shaker,
Bone
yep.
Shaker. Yeah. So I personally can't wait. And especially because everyone that rides Lightning Run just seems to rave about it. This is going to be a bigger version of Lightning Run with inversions.
Yes.
So I think between that and how great this train looks, I think this is going to be another huge kind of, like you said, sleeper hit as soon as this park opens. I think in the spring.
Yeah, they're moving along with it, or so we're told. And
Yeah.
hopefully we can get out to Phoenix sometime in 2024 when it opens, or 2025,
Absolutely.
whenever it happens. We'll be out there. One thing I just want to point out about the Twin Mill Racer, I'm so excited that the coaster track is bright orange. That is the perfect.
Couldn't be
Hot
any
Wheels.
other way for a Hot Wheels. Yeah.
It's amazing. So
Yep,
shout
I
out
think
to
we all
the
had that looping kind of launch track.
I mean, there's probably some truth to the fact that like kids who had Hot Wheels tracks like grew up coaster enthusiasts because they would make the loops
totally.
and they would the jumps
Of
and all these
course.
other things. So,
Yeah.
but we're finally getting that coming to life. I know, I grew up. This is again way before your time. There was a PC game called like Hot Wheels Stunt Track Driver, which to me is kind of the same feel as the Twin Mill Racers. So I'm really
Okay.
looking forward
Yeah,
to
that's
it.
great. They really, I mean, they brought the concept of a Hot Wheels track to life. So this is going to be big, I think.
Yeah. Hang on. I got to sneeze real quick. And one other thing I want to talk about, the Hot Wheels was sleek, but if we want to talk about sleek entertainment, this didn't really have a booth, but they did do a nightly show like 3 or 4 nights in Orlando, was this drone company. And I don't remember the name of
Yes.
I'm sure you have the
It is.
name.
Yes, it is Sky Elements drone shows.
And did they set a Guinness World Record outside of the IAAPA Expo for largest drone show or something like that?
They set 2. One of them was for the largest American flag, and one of them was for the largest logo, which was their logo. I mean, I think there was hundreds, I think, of drones, maybe thousands.
Yeah.
I remember reading. Um, I mean, this was something where this was great because it took place right after IAAPA. So you have all these people that are in like, nice like business clothes standing alongside every railing of the Orange County Convention Center, literally like oohing and ahhing over this. It was incredible. It was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Have you ever seen
Um,
a drone show before that?
I don't think so. Oh, actually, you know what? No, that's not true. I saw one for the Kings Island 50th anniversary, which was also incredible.
Yeah.
Um, so between that and this, I mean, I think drone shows are going to be huge. I think 10 years from now, fireworks will be a rarity. Um, and I think that drone shows are just the amount of things that I saw there with the Sky Element show. Um, there were static images like the logo, but also they had this intricate, like moving. I don't even know what to call it. It was like almost like it looked like spaghetti that was just kind of looping in and around itself, which just showed the versatility of how these drones can move. And they had giant pictures, scenes of knights fighting dragons, moving astronauts and space stations. I was just super, super impressed.
Yeah. I saw obviously a podcast where all we do is talk and there's no video component.
Yeah,
Talking about a drone show is not the most effective way to communicate
right. But it is
about.
on our Instagram.
It is. And there was some great posts on social media. I think Clint over at Thrill Geek, he had a video up that they had the drones that formed a roller coaster loop and the train was going through the loop. So that was
Yes,
pretty
that
cool
was,
to
I think,
see.
the day before.
So
I saw that one as I was driving home. Um, yeah.
so Sky Elements, kudos to you. You guys, you
Yes,
crushed it.
very
And I
much.
think for something that wasn't technically on the show floor, I mean, it was very much part of IAPA, but I think
Yes.
that definitely had people talking just as much about as much as anything. Um,
Yes.
including, and I know there wasn't a ton of information released. There was some concept art, but they just casually dropped that there's going to be a whole ass theme park that opens or is scheduled to open in 2026 in South Dakota, and
Yes.
Storyland Studios is behind it. I know John from our team he's probably a little salty about the name Liberty Land,
Yes.
but in this tourist area in South Dakota, um, there's certainly there may be one roller coaster in South Dakota. I think it's a kiddie coaster. I want to
Yeah.
say
And
that
they were
was where
supposed to get that RMC.
they were, but
I'm not sure what happened there.
COVID probably.
Probably. But yeah, this is super exciting. Storyland had a big booth this year. Um, it was actually really great. It was like camping theme. They had an airstream there where they had their meetings inside of. Um, but I also went to one of the uh, education sessions this year. I went to a lot of those actually. Super interesting. One of them was from Storyland Studios. They didn't talk too much about Liberty Land, but just the way that they're approaching how they tell stories and how they build narratives into their parks was really intriguing, and I'm very excited with the information that's been released so far about the park.
Yeah, so we'll there's an article up on coaster101.com. Definitely it kind of highlights the announcement, kind of what we can expect. Um, it says it's going to open in 2026 or is planning to open in 2026. Looking at a calendar, 2024 is in like 6 weeks.
Yeah,
So, it's not that far off. It's definitely
no,
not as far off as you think it is. So,
which is
that is
it's really interesting actually how many new theme parks are being built. I mean, the big ones obviously Epic Universe, but then you have things like Liberty Land and like Mattel Adventure Park and the Universal Park announced for Texas. Um,
and the little Peppa Pig
I
pop-ups
and
too.
Peppa, yes, a few Peppa Pig, one in Texas too.
Yeah.
Um, so this really what came out of IAPA this year was just that the industry is booming right now, not only in technology but um, new theme parks are opening. Lost Island, I mean, same thing. Um, so yeah, I'm just super excited. I came out of IAPA so like giddy about everything we have to look forward to.
Yeah, and I want to talk. We've talked about roller coaster trains and all this
Yes.
other
Which
stuff.
there's one we haven't mentioned, by the way.
Go ahead.
Uh, the world's first axis coaster.
Yes. How can I forget the
The
world's first axis
yes,
coaster?
from SNS, the Transformers coaster going to the Seven Family Entertainment Center in Saudi Arabia. They had a whole big train reveal also, which I think this was the only reveal that we didn't know what it was going to be beforehand,
Right.
which was also super exciting. I figured, I mean, it had the big Transformers logo. I thought it was going to be some kind of dark ride just by how big the sheet that they had on over it was. Um, but yeah, this will be the world's first axis coaster. It'll be indoors, which I didn't know.
Hmm.
So it's going to be indoors. It's a fairly short layout, so it's going to go around it twice.
Yep.
There's two inversions in it. Um, really cool train, really sleek, um, shiny purple and green train. And SNS, when they were talking about it, uh, and the Seven, one of the representatives from Seven, also said that this was just the perfect collaboration. He said actually this came from IAAPA, where they had the Axis coaster on display, and he looked at it and immediately thought of Transformers, and this would be perfect. Um, so it looks great. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and I again another concept came from IAAPA, and it's now a reality.
Yeah, I think the people online were they're questioning the layout a little bit, but once you realized it went through that tight, compact layout twice, you
Yes,
got a pretty good coaster
and
experience out of that.
the thing with the Axis coasters too is that it's hard to judge it just based on the layout because of how much the train is moving around you and the ability of the actual seats to move. Even just with the prototype, I don't know if it's still built, um, but the Axis prototype, I mean, it's basically just a flat circle. But when you watch a video of it, I mean, the train is doing maneuvers, tracks flipping around the train's flipping around the track. Um, so it's hard to get a handle on the Axis coasters just from the layout. So I like that they had an animated POV there also, just to illustrate what exactly this thing is going to be doing.
Yeah, and I think with that compact layout, and then obviously an opening indoors, um, once they get the first one up and running, and I think the American, the small park could be like with the smaller parks, the FECs with land or a footprint, with
Absolutely.
a pretty tight budget. I mean, obviously, it's not the Pescetti Bowl coaster from
Right.
Skyline, which
Which we
won
should
the.
also talk about.
We should, but
Um, but yeah,
they
this I think kind of has the potential to be a new Skyrocket 2 sort of,
yeah.
where it's compact space, easily adaptable to smaller parks. It does a lot with a little amount of track. I think this could be a home run.
Oh, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it come to fruition. I think that was scheduled to open next year as well. So,
Yes,
2024 going to be a huge year for the industry. Um, Outside of roller coasters, though, and I know you mentioned you want to talk about the Pescetti Bowl, but
yes.
I want to talk about the rest of the IAAPA show floor. Every year, it seems like there's one or two things that really just they go viral for some weird reason. I know last year was the condiment cow,
I was going
and
to say Condiment Cow, which is back, by the way, with a friend, back with
yes,
the Condiment Sow, which is a pig.
oh gosh,
So there was two. There was two this year.
oh boy, oh, I can't wait for the bird themed one next year, the condiment crow. We just put an R in
Yeah.
condiment cow.
Yep.
They don't. Again, I work in marketing and communications, but not for the condiment cow people. So don't take that idea. It's not a very good one.
Yeah.
What were some other things you kind of saw on the show floor? I know, kind of going through the Instagram stories, that looked like there was this LED beach walkway thing that was really cool. There was
Yes.
the vortex
Which
tunnel.
yes. So we'll start with the LED beach like lagoon they had there, which won booth of the year from the internal like IAPA awards, which is great. Um, yeah, that was really cool. Like you said, the Dream Tunnel from Vortex was back again. Um, I hope that that is going to exist somewhere because I think that is just so cool. Uh, the show that they're running in there. Um, that yes, that was back. Lots of virtual reality, which is the same at IAAPA. Interesting. This year, it seems like very arcade focused with the virtual reality. Things like typical like shooting games or driving games now have a virtual reality component. So I think where we kind of didn't really see this catch on in theme parks as much, I think it has absolutely arcades and family entertainment centers is where this is going to find its home. I think.
Yeah, I feel like every family entertainment center or Dave and Buster's or place like that, they have their kind of upcharge VR attraction where they have the headset and you can play Beat Saber, you can do whatever. But
Yes. Yeah.
it is cool to
Exactly.
see them integrated. I am really really glad that the VR on coasters trend just kind of went away very quickly. Um,
Yeah, I didn't mind it.
I,
I minded the long waits, but
the
I thought it
weights,
was
the
cool.
yeah, I never I did it 2 or 3 times. I did it on Battle for Ire, which wasn't a coaster. But it
Right.
was really it was weird when the VR wouldn't sync. Like it didn't sync to the ride, so
Oh,
you're in
sure.
so that happened, or I was riding Kraken at SeaWorld and it was like really, really
Hmm.
disorienting because it was like you were looking off to the side what was going on, but you were doing this and going through all these motions. It was kind of weird. Um, I think the only time I really enjoyed it was Freedom Flyer at Fun Spot, and I can't even
Okay.
remember the ride film. It was
Yeah.
it was
I
an
think it was an
enjoyable
interesting
experience.
little trend. That was one of my first articles, I think, for Coaster 101 is kind of what happened to the virtual reality. But yeah, now I think we finally have the answer, which is it's more fit for smaller environments.
It really
So
is.
yeah, there was some VR. Um, I'm just going through my pictures here to see what else I saw because there's a lot to see.
Let's talk
Um,
about what you ate, because I feel like
oh, sure. Okay.
one of the best things on the IAPA show floor is there's mini donuts and there's mini melts
Oh
and there's
yeah,
Dippin'
I ate it
Dots.
all.
So what
Everything
were
you
some of your
mentioned, I
favorites?
ate multiple times. Let's see. Yeah, mini melts. I told you before we started. Mini melts basically powered me through this conference. Um, let's see what else I had. Dippin' Dots, new flavor. It's called Frozetti dough, kind of like cookie dough, chocolate chip cookie dough, but the ice cream is sugar cookie flavored, which was incredible. Icy had a Fruit Loop flavored icy, which tastes exactly like the milk left over after a bowl of Fruit Loops, which to me, love it, great. They also at Icy had two icy flavored cookies, which was blue raspberry and cherry, which it was odd because it tastes like the flavor, but obviously it's not the carbonated
Yeah.
consistency. But yeah, those were great. Mini donuts, as always, good. Um, they had some soft serve, which was delicious. Popcorn. The pretzel cart consistently had the longest line at IAPA, rightfully so. It's delicious. Um, yeah, so some really really good stuff. Pizza. Um, so yes, lots
So
of food. Cotton
so
candy.
you were well fed with not so healthy food for the week. So
Oh,
that's good.
absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I miss the days where beaver tails would exhibit. That was I think
Yeah,
maybe
they are haven't been there the past couple of years.
yeah. Ben Soft Pretzels I think has kind of absorbed the line that beaver tails once
Oh,
had.
absolutely. Yeah.
But beaver tails again, I still maintain those need to be in every park in America. I know they're pretty much in every park in Canada and some
Yeah.
parks in the in the Northeast, but they got to make a bigger. They got to have a bigger U.S. presence. It's just got to happen
Yes. All right, here we go. I'm going through my camera roll. We'll go rapid fire through a few things, other things that I think I saw that are worth mentioning.
for sure.
Um, the water fight. I hesitant to say coaster spike attraction from Mauer Rides. They had a little model of it. Really cool. It seems like the next evolution of what was that Hershey Park? I forget the name of it. So
Roller soaker.
roller soaker. Yes. this seems to sort of be the next evolution of that, which I think is another great application for that spike coaster idea. Um, so I think that's going to be really cool. This was super interesting. The company is called, I'm definitely going to mispronounce this, Sinphone Skyrider XD, where this was essentially uh, like a one car version of The Simpsons at Universal Studios, where they actually were telling me how they built it on the show floor, where it was crazy because there was it was a track, forward and backwards track, where they had this simulator car, and you get in the car, and then it pulls forward sort of into this semicircle screen dome, and they had a ride film in there, and the vehicle would move, and there was wind effects. So essentially, what this is like a mini version of The Simpsons that they've installed into shopping malls and family entertainment centers, things like that. Um, and I think it's great that we're seeing smaller scale versions of big attractions.
Right.
So that was kind of a underrated. I didn't see anyone talking about this, but this was one of the more exciting things I think that I did, um, because it's based on a ride concept that I really like and is really successful, and I love to see kind of an evolution, a more accessible version of that. Um, Also, Falcon's Creative Group had their Onyx Theater. They had a demonstration of it there. Um, so I spent a lot of time in that booth talking to them about their company and about this theater. Uh, and what they had was a demo version of the ride that they have at their Kathmandu park,
Hmm.
in Punta Cana, which is a ride called Challenge of the Mad Mage. And they were telling me about the story. Super interesting. How everything in this Kathmandu park is their own original story with original characters. And what this theater was, is a shooting theater attraction where the seats move. There was a lot of movement to them, but also built into the seats were LEDs and wind effects. Also, were kind of built into the armrests of it, um, and the blasters as well had haptic feedback. So when you would shoot, it would actually have a reaction. Um, and I was talking to them about these little details like that. Or if there's like an explosion, the LED light will flash in the armrests, and the wind will go off. These little details like that you wouldn't normally think about are what creates this kind of instant, seamless immersion for
Right.
something like this. Um, and the version they had there was just a demo, so it was the last few minutes of the ride, and then much smaller seats. But in reality, this is 30 something seats inside of a large dark theater, which would
Hmm.
just add to it even more. Um, so again, like I was saying with some of the other things I saw, this is sort of the next evolution of something that we are, seeing in the industry as a tried and true attraction, just taken to that next level. And another one that's adaptable to different parks. There were versions with, a dozen seats and versions with 40 seats. So that was another one of the more interesting and impressive things I got to try out.
Yeah, and Falcons for years. I feel like we've had them on the show. We've interviewed them for the website. They're constantly innovating down there at
Absolutely.
and it is really cool to see. And this Onyx Theater, based on your description, it's kind of, to me, feels like this hybrid dark ride flying theater attraction. You know, for years everybody had the motion simulator theater, or that had the
Right.
SpongeBob 3D movie or whatever it was. I think there's an Angry Birds one now too.
Yeah.
But this to me, with the interactivity, and it combines again a lot of best of both worlds, which is really cool to see. Hopefully, at some point, we can get down to that Kathmandu part, because that's another one that I feel like I've been.
Yeah, I was talking to them about it. They they would love to have us check it out. So
I love it.
I would love to do it. I was actually, I was looking. Flights not that expensive here from Florida. So Could be in my near future. We'll see.
I like it. Well, you know, I think right now my plan is to go to the Dominican Republic for my honeymoon.
Okay.
I don't know how my wife is going to feel about wanting to go to Kathmandu Park, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
Yeah, yeah.
so hopefully we can get down there, try it out. Um, you know, in addition to Falcons, though, I want to talk. We'll wrap this up a little bit. I feel like we've been rambling for about an hour or so.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about.
Who are some other people you talked about or talked to, and what are some things we can expect in the coming days, weeks, and months on Coaster101.com from your time at IAAPA?
Well, so many things. I'll do a little shout out at the end of everyone who I really got to talk to. Um, let's talk about Skyline.
Yeah,
Dan from Skyline had a great conversation with. Going to make an article out of that, definitely.
we gotta
About
let's back it up for the theme park fan here. Dan
yeah,
from Skyline. Everybody knows Dan from Skyline. They don't know him as Dan from Skyline though.
no, they
What a,
don't.
he is Midway Mayhem on social media,
Yes,
constantly hustling around the Orlando parks and other places. Some of the best updates in the game. So Dan
absolutely.
absolutely kills it. So Midway Mayhem on social media, follow them. But he's also an installer now for Skyline Attractions. So it
Yes,
it proves that enthusiasts can and will get jobs in this industry, and that's awesome.
yes, yeah. It pays off. Absolutely, and it did for Dan. And everything he was telling me about um, the amount that goes into designing and installing these coasters. Just between the uh, weld-free track design and the Aurora, the LED light package, just so much customization with those, and with the Pescetti coasters themselves. Obviously, um, they're just so adaptable and so customizable, um, including going maybe bigger than what we've seen. So I think that the future is definitely bright, uh, literally with the LED track, but also uh, for this coaster, um, I'm going to ride one, two next month when I go to Six Flags Over Georgia. I'll get to ride their Kid Flash new coaster, and I am very excited based on everything that I talked about with Dan and that I saw on display at the event. So that was another one. A great conversation at that booth, and super exciting things coming for Skyline.
For sure. I love it. All right. Well, you said you were going to shout these people out. Let's give a real quick end credits of, hey, shout out to so and so, because I hear, and this could be hearsay, that there are fans of the Coaster 101 podcast who are in the industry, who you talk to, who brought up this podcast that has not had an episode in nearly 3 months.
Yes. Yes. So here we go. I'll shout out everybody first.
Tell me who likes me, Shane. Tell me who likes me.
Okay. Well, first, I also want to talk about Chris Roberry from Ride Entertainment, um, who I I think I can share this. Um, this is, as to my knowledge, a Coaster 101 exclusive announcement here. Um, but there are footers installed for Palindrome at this very moment.
I like it.
Um, so that is first of all a very exciting thing that's coming. Um, yes, Chris, super great guy, great to talk to. A lot of exciting things coming between the Schwarzkopf documentary, the Roller Coaster Museum. So lots going on there. Very exciting. Definitely going to be covering a lot of that on Coaster 101. We mentioned Falcon's Creative Group as well. So many great people I got to talk to there. Jason Ambler, definitely, who's their president of digital media. He was telling me a lot about the theater. Audrey, who is their senior producer and writer, also big creative force behind the Onyx Theater and host of the Experience Imagination podcasts from Falcon's Creative Group. So we're definitely going to have probably a collab with them coming soon down the line.
Make it happen,
Um,
Shane.
I will. Yes, I'm going to follow up with everyone this week. Also, Dave Hall from Falcons, founder of themedentertainmentjobs.com, which has definitely been a big resource for me, and I know a lot of people as well. So definitely lots of great people over there at Falcons. Adam Sandy from Zamperla. A couple people at Zamperla said they're
Friend of the
fans of the podcast.
friend of the pod, Adam Sandy. Love that guy.
Yes. Yep. So that was another one. Super great conversation there. Great guy, great team there over at Zamperla. Super excited that they're getting the opportunity to do something huge like Top Thrill 2. I also wanted to thank Irvine Andre Engineering. They hosted a great event for young professionals, which I went to. Great, super hard trivia hosted by Chris Roberry, actually, which he claimed were the easy questions, but I I beg to differ on that one. I can actually give you. I took a screenshot of what kind of questions we were dealing with here, and
Yeah,
I'm gonna. I won't say the answer. I'm gonna put this out to everybody listening, and you can DM us or comment. Here's one of the questions. This was, I think, in the medium difficulty section. How many drive wheels are there on one side of Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster's lift hill at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas?
ooh, that's wow.
Yeah.
This is
Yes.
that's some hardcore nerd stuff right there, and
Yeah,
I
it
love
really
it.
is. So yeah, they hosted a great event. I'd love to see
We
things
gotta
like
get
that. It was their Giga game night, they called it.
we got to get IOE on the podcast. I think what
Oh,
they do
absolutely.
with ride control systems, we got to get them on the show.
Absolutely. Great things coming from them as well, including I don't know if I can reveal this. I think I can, but I'll keep it sort of vague. They will be working with a B&M soon. So among many other things, but that was one thing they shared with us there at that event.
Vortex at Carowinds. No.
Yeah, no comment. But yeah, they another great interaction I had there.
Cool.
As well as the edu-sessions that I went to. Like I mentioned, Storyland. Hasbro had one about IP integration in the parks. Brogent had one about the evolution of flying theater attractions. They had a few announcements there. There's going to be a new flying theater in Chicago, as well as a couple other ones that I mentioned on our Instagram story. So I'm super glad I got to go to some of those sessions this year, and I'm definitely going to be doing that again next year because that was a lot of fun. Something different, also kind of makes it a little easier to breathe on the IAAPA floor if you're not on the show floor all day, where you kind of get to take a break and just listen to some super interesting conversation. So yes, so many great interactions. I said this, some version of this on Instagram. The reason I love IAAPA so much is that because it brings so many friends and new friends together, and just is a place where all of us can just be excited for what this industry is and what is coming in this industry. So also big shout out to all of the crew, all the staff working at IAAPA. A great event as usual. So much to see there, and it's a huge undertaking to put on. So definitely big shout out to them, and thank you for making this event happen year after year.
Absolutely. And at its core, it's like you said, Shane. I think it is a trade show at its core, and so I'm hoping as we kind of continue to emerge from this COVID pandemic, there was a lot of business done, a lot of roller coasters sold, a lot of ideas ideated, and I really think the next several years in the amusement industry are going to be really, really exciting. And especially, I was really jealous looking at your pictures. And again, I'm really glad that IAAPA still has a press program and we're, allowed to, just kind of take it in. I mean, we all love this industry. I feel like most of the people on that show floor, they love the industry as well. And
Absolutely.
it's a business meeting at heart, but when we have the opportunity to cover it and the new things that are kind of coming down the pipeline, that's obviously really special for us too. So
Yes,
definitely not taking that for granted. And yeah, just really excited to see kind of what the future holds for the industry in the next couple of years. But before we
absolutely.
wrap this up, Shane, any other parting final thoughts?
Um, if you'd like to see all of the coverage from IAAPA, it's on our Instagram. I made a story highlight, so you can go and see everything from IAAPA because I took pictures of basically everything. All of the announcements are on there. All of the train reveals, um, which is one of the most exciting things about that event is when that sheet comes off and everybody goes ooh. So all of those are on there. I took pictures of most of the food that I got to try, um, some things from the edu-sessions as well. So if you want to see what that looks like, and then just general things from the show floor, we got some ride POVs on there from the drop tower and from the coaster. So you can really see just how massive this show floor is. Um, so yeah, definitely go check that out on the Instagram because we have so much in that Instagram highlight to relive everything that happened this year.
Yep. And there's going to be more coming down the pipeline from Shane on
Yes, definitely
coaster101.com.
keep a
If you,
lookout. Some articles, some podcasts, maybe some team ups. Who knows?
hey, we're game. The podcast is back. We're ready to do this. You know, with any luck, I'm not gonna have another kidney stone or have to buy a house and get
Yes,
married
yeah,
again in the next anytime soon. So
yep. There you
again,
go.
we're back. It's great. But like Shane said, make sure you're following us on social media. We're at Coaster101 anywhere you consume the platform. That's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, YouTube, TikTok. We've got a Blue Sky account now because apparently a lot of people are leaving Twitter/X. So we got a Blue Sky account. We're Coaster101 there as well. So follow us because I don't know what the level of roller coaster people on Blue Sky is yet. I haven't found them yet. So we'll
Maybe we can be a pioneer. I don't even know what that is, so I'm gonna have to check that out.
Shane, you're supposed to be the youthful like Gen Z guy who knows all these emerging trends.
I know.
But
Well, hey, I don't know what that says about Blue Sky then, but hey, I'll check it out.
it's all good. And again, we have a website, coaster101.com. There's a recap of day one of IAAPA from the show floor, coaster trains, and more. But yeah, if you head over to Coaster 101 for all sorts of other great content. I know I was recently at Winterfest at Carowinds. We had Nick, who's at the Winter Lights at the Columbus Zoo, or Wild Lights, or whatever they call that event. So he'll have something up on the site here in the coming days, I'm sure. But yeah, right now, we are selling Coaster 101 calendars. It's the 8th year of our annual
Yes.
calendar sale. 100% of that money raised goes to Give Kids the World Village. Right now, we're down to like just about 60 calendars left. So I really want to try and get those out of my house before to the end of the year because right now I'm staring at a stack of about 60 calendars. Again, all the money goes to a great cause. There's 13 months worth of roller coasters of pictures from the Coaster 101 team. Um, we've got Lost Island, Carowinds, Wildcats Revenge, Airy Force One. We've got some new coasters, old coasters, really great photos for a really good cause. So keep track of your dates, and that's at c101.co/24 calendar. If you're looking for the latest and greatest in Coaster 101 merch, we've also got a T Public shop, which depending on when you listen to this, is on sale for Black Friday. So that's
Designed
c101.co.
by award-winning designer Andrew Stillwell.
Some of them, yeah, but some of them are actually designed by an actual real graphic designer, Kyle
Also,
Linder,
yes.
who's far more talented than I am. I just got really lucky with a t-shirt design. But yeah, that's c101.co/T Public. So go check that out as well. If you're listening to this podcast and you're just finding us, welcome aboard. We've got a back catalog that begins 3 months ago and goes backwards for 4 years. So go check that out. I think there's over 130 episodes worth of content, interviews, news, reviews, and other things that end in IEWS or just EWS. But yeah, if you're listening, make sure you're liking, rating, reviewing, and subscribing. 5-star ratings on Spotify, 5-star ratings on Apple Podcasts, because that helps people find our show. And as we bring it back, we are looking for those 5-star ratings to kind of rebuild the audience numbers a little bit. So please help us out there. And finally, thanks as always to our good buddies over at JMMD Entertainment for our theme music. Ben, who is actually one of their creative directors, show managers now. He actually DJ'd my wedding. So shout out to
There
Ben.
you go.
He absolutely crushed it. But JMMD, they do a lot of great theme park shows. They obviously have done the theme music for this podcast. So check them out as well. But Shane, again, we've come back with a bang. And so, let's keep this gravy train rolling.
Oh, wow. Yep.
Oh, only if it's got a handle on the back of it, though.
That's true.
All right. We will talk to y'all again soon. See ya.